So the players hear it, so we all just have to pack the job in. Redundancies all round because Harry Kane and his soft mates can hear the criticism. And then he contradicts himself by saying, well, as he talked in, circles, as he did there, he said, well, the players have to be honest, the pundits. And so which one is it? Do we have to be honest or do we have to pander? He could have really simplified this for himself as well, if it matters, and it clearly does, because he's a bit sensitive, and so are some of his buddies, by coming out, if he had any brains to operate within the media, and he was asked a question about Gary Lineker, or whoever it was, making comments, he could have said, it's part of the job, it is what it is, we move on. You play in big tournaments, you play for your country, you get criticised. You get criticised in qualifiers, you get criticised in friendlies, but you rarely get criticised when you go to major tournaments, because there is an expectation. And if Harry Kane and his buddies that read and listen, because we never read anything back in the day, we were oblivious to any criticism, we couldn't read, it was newspapers. We couldn't see if any criticism coming our way, none whatsoever. So it's all changed now, it never happened before. And come on, get over it. You asked Frank Leboeuf, playing for France, a tournament, a team with the utmost of expectations. If they have a bad performance, and they've had many good ones, if they have a bad performance with the expectations on the French players, they get absolutely pummeled by the writers, by the TV, and by the former players. You understand it and you know it when you go into this job, and when you get asked by journalists at a press conference about it, you have to say, in my opinion, it's part for the course. And you have to accept it. And Harry Kane is unable to accept it. And maybe that's part of the problem.
What's always interesting when these discussions come up, Frank, is that if you speak to English players, it's almost as if they get it worse, more than any other player in any other country. But the fact is, whether you're playing for Italy, for France, for England, for Scotland, you're going to get criticised because it's a big tournament and because all eyes are on you.
Exactly. Everybody is been treating the same way in any country you are playing for, and that's what it is. And it's part of the job, as Craig said. Well, I wasn't reading newspapers because after 2 years as a professional, I understood that it didn't serve me. I knew when I was good and I knew when I was bad. I didn't need the journalist or the pundit to explain to me what I had to do and how I was playing good or not. And but I have just one message, we shouldn't forget as pundits that football is a beautiful thing, that we still have food on our plate because we are talking about that. So to destroy it, to be resentful and sometimes bitter by some players who didn't get anything from there, it doesn't serve the football. So it's always, you have to manage everything. I mean, smashing England from Gary Lineker, maybe he's legit for that. I didn't know what he said. I didn't read what he said about the English team. But you have to pay attention to the football. Don't go over it. Be fair. Say what you have to do because it's your job. But just think about the football.
Why is it, Gab, that England players sell the fact that this shirt is heavier than other international teams?
So I think there is a power to popular media, or there was historically back into the day. There was a very negative atmosphere around the national team. I mean, look, a lot of players have spoken of it, from the Gerrard, Beckham, Lampard generation. Some players saying about how they didn't like playing for England. But all of that has changed, and I think this is why I think Kane's words make so little sense to me. This England team, as a group of players, they haven't received a lot of criticism, and they haven't received a lot of criticism because they've done themselves proud, reaching the semifinals of a World Cup, outplaying France, arguably in the last World Cup, reaching the finals and losing on penalties. They've achieved more than any group of England players in the past. And as a result, they've gotten less criticism, actually, I would say, than most of the England players in the past. And I don't doubt that there are some England players who, it's almost like in a fraternity where you get hazed when you join, and then, later on you're in the fraternity, so you haze the new guys when they're coming in. Maybe there's some element of that with some players. But in reality, and it's partly because, actually, for all the criticism that Southgate gets, one of the positives is he's actually been generally very honest, and he's been very open. He's created a good climate around the team, and they've achieved good results. So to come out and say something like that, it really strikes me as odd coming from Kane, because it's nothing like what previous England teams had to go through. And I think he should be proud of what England as a group have achieved to this stage. And what he shouldn't do, ever, is imply that ex-players, because they played for England, should get behind the team. No, if they're in the media, if they're now pundits, they should be honest, and they shouldn't think about the fact that, I was once an England player. I don't want people to go through what I went through. No, that if they do that, they're not doing their job honestly.